When you hit a certain age, you start realizing the only person who truly got your back is you. And honestly, that's exactly where I was standing when all this mess kicked off. I'm a 68-year-old woman, living on my own, paying my own bills, keeping my own peace, or at least trying to. My pension wasn't huge, but it was enough to survive. Maybe treat myself to a new cardigan every now and then. Nothing fancy, but it was mine. But for some reason, my daughter Emma and her husband Jason acted like my pension was some kind of community property. Like the moment I turned 60, my money automatically belonged to them. I swear those two checked my balance more than I ever did. Every month, Jason would be the first person at the ATM, punching buttons like he owned the machine. So one morning, I woke up and thought, nah, I'm done being treated like a walking debit card. I got dressed, grabbed my purse, and headed to the bank. The lady at the desk was sweet, speaking slowly like she wasn't sure if my brain still functioned. Typical. But she helped me change everything. My account, my card, my PIN, my deposit details. Boom. Fresh start. Nobody could touch a dime unless I handed it to them myself. And for the first time in years, I felt free. Like I had taken my life back just by signing some papers. But little did I know, the second I did that, the clock started ticking toward the explosion waiting for me at home. I stopped by the bakery on the way back, treated myself to some fresh bread, and walked home humming like life was finally on my side again. When I opened, the moment I stepped inside, I froze. Emma was standing in the living room with her arms crossed, pacing back and forth like she was rehearsing a speech. And Jason? He was red in the face, like a tomato fresh out the sun. The way they looked at me made it feel like I had committed a federal crime. Hi, I said, setting the bread on the table. Emma whipped around. Mom, are you serious right now? I blinked. About what? The bread? It's just carbs, sweetheart. Relax. Jason slammed his hand on the kitchen counter. The bank, Linda. The bank. Oh, so that's what this was. I leaned on my cane and sighed, calm as a lake. Yeah, I went to the bank. That's not illegal last time I checked. Emma stepped closer, her voice sharp. Mom, Jason nearly had a heart attack at the ATM. I raised an eyebrow. That sounds like a him problem. No, that sounds like a you problem, Jason snapped. We tried to take out the monthly cash so we could handle your shopping and bills, and the machine said the card was invalid. Invalid, Linda. You didn't tell us anything. My jaw clenched. There it was. The real reason they were here. Not concern. Not worry. Just inconvenience. Their free money machine had stopped working. Emma threw her hands up dramatically. Mom, why would you change your card without telling us? We've been helping you manage everything. I almost laughed at that one. Helping me manage? Jason keeps my card in his wallet like I'm 12 years old. Emma glared. It's for your own good. No, I said, straightening up. It's for your benefit. For a moment, neither of them said a word. They just stared at me, like I had spoken another language. Jason looked like he was searching for a comeback that never formed. Then Emma started again, voice cracking with fake emotion. Mom, you scared us. We thought something happened. I shook my head slowly. You thought something happened to your access. Jason took a step forward, pointing a finger at me. You better fix this. Right now, we need your card and your PIN. Because the bills? Nah, I cut him off. You don't need anything, and you won't be using my money anymore. The way their faces dropped? Priceless. Emma stumbled back, like her knees gave out. Jason grabbed the back of a chair, like he suddenly got dizzy. I didn't even raise my voice. I didn't scream. I didn't argue. I just looked at them and said the one sentence that knocked them both flat, like they'd been hit with a brick. From now on, my pension goes only to me, and nobody else touches it. Jason blinked twice. Emma swayed like she was about to faint. And honestly, that was only the beginning, because the next 10 minutes, yeah, that's where things really went wild. For a second, the whole living room went dead silent, like somebody hit a pause button on both of them. Emma kept opening and shutting her mouth like a fish out of water. And Jason, well, he just stood there gripping the chair like the world was spinning. Honestly, I enjoyed the quiet moment. It was the first peaceful 5 seconds I'd had with them in years. Then, like a volcano finally blowing its top, Jason barked, "You can't just cut us off like that. We have responsibilities." I tilted my head. And those responsibilities include draining my pension? Emma gasped, offended. Mom, don't say it like that. How should I say it? I asked calmly. You two take my card every month, pull out every penny, and then give me $20 like it's a reward. Jason's face turned purple. We handle your finances. No, I corrected. You handle my money. Emma stomped closer like a teenager mid-tantrum. Mom, we talked about this. You're getting older, and we just want to make sure you don't make mistakes with your budget. I laughed. One short, sharp laugh. Sweetheart, the only mistake in my budget was trusting you. That hit her hard. She took a step back, eyes watering, but I wasn't falling for the crocodile tears again. These two only cried when their benefits were threatened. Jason threw his arms up. Unbelievable! Just unbelievable! After everything we do for you! I crossed my arms. Name one thing you do for me that doesn't involve spending my pension. Silence. Emma sniffled dramatically. Mom, we pay your bills. With my money, I said. Jason pointed at me again, like he was giving me a warning. If you don't give us your new card and PIN, this whole house is gonna fall apart. You can't handle things on your own. I raised my eyebrow. Funny. I handled everything just fine before you two got involved. He stepped closer. You're being ridiculous. No, I said, leaning on my cane. I'm being independent. Emma looked at Jason, like she needed him to jump in and save the argument. Jason took a deep breath, puffing his chest like he was the man of the house. Listen, Linda, he said, trying to sound calm. I checked your account this morning. The balance was empty. Empty. What do you think that means? I shrugged. It means you shouldn't be checking my account. He froze. Emma froze. Both of them blinked like they couldn't process what I just said. Then Emma squeaked, But it's always been the same account. Not anymore, I said proudly. I changed it. Jason looked like someone had slapped him. You what? I changed everything, I repeated. New account, new card, new PIN, new deposit setup. You two don't have access to anything now. Jason actually staggered, grabbing the table like he was about to pass out. Emma rushed to him. Jason, baby, breathe. I couldn't help myself. I smirked a little. He'll live. Emma spun toward me, real tears forming this time. Mom, how could you do this to us? I blinked slowly. Do what? Take my money back? She pointed at the ceiling like she was calling the heavens to witness the injustice. We were counting on that money. Finally the truth slipped out. There it is, I said softly. You weren't taking care of me. You were using me. Jason snapped. We deserve compensation. For what? I demanded. Being unemployed leeches? He flinched like the word burned him. Emma covered her mouth. Mom, she cried. Jason works. No, I said. Jason used to work. Now he sits on your couch, playing video games on my electricity, eating my groceries, and waiting for my pension to refill so he can drain the ATM again. Jason clenched his jaw. You are unbelievable. I know, I said. I'm unbelievable for letting this go on so long. Emma wiped her eyes. Mom, we needed help. And I gave you help, I said, for years. But you turned help into entitlement. Jason slammed his fist on the table again. You owe us. That was it. That right there was the line that changed the whole story. I walked forward, standing right in front of both of them. I don't owe you a damn thing. I raised you, Emma. Fed you. Educated you. Supported your marriage. I gave and gave and gave. And now you think you're entitled to take whatever's left of me? Emma shook her head, whispering, Mom, please don't do this. I softened my voice. I'm doing what I should have done years ago, setting boundaries. Jason muttered under his breath, She'll regret this. I heard it. I ignored it. Instead, I picked up my bread, walked to the kitchen, and said over my shoulder, From now on, my money is mine. You two aren't getting a single cent. Emma quietly said, So what now, Mom? I didn't even turn around. Now I get my life back. They didn't respond, because they both knew this wasn't the end. This was just the beginning. And when they realized how much money I actually had saved in my new account, things were about to explode even harder. Emma and Jason didn't leave right away. Of course they didn't. Users don't log off that fast, especially when the cash flow suddenly stops. For a whole minute, they just stood there in the living room, like two statues trying to reboot. Jason kept rubbing his temples like math equations were hurting him, and Emma kept wiping non-existent tears, dramatic as always. Finally, Emma whispered, Mom, can we just talk about this? I turned slowly, leaning on my cane. Talk about what? Jason scoffed like he was some financial expert. You're exaggerating. I raised my eyebrow. Really? Should I show you the ATM withdrawal history printed on my fridge? Because I laminated it. Emma turned pale. You laminated it? Yep, I smiled. Had to keep the evidence fresh. Jason threw his hands up. This is ridiculous. You're blowing this way out of proportion. You changed your info without telling us. That's betrayal. I stared. Betrayal? Are you hearing yourself? Emma touched my arm softly. Mom, please don't turn this into something ugly. It is ugly, I said. You just don't like that the spotlight is finally on you. She opened her mouth, closed it, then opened it again like a glitching NPC. Jason didn't bother with the act. He went straight into attack mode. "You're selfish," he barked. "You know we're struggling. You know we need support." I tilted my head. "And what exactly are you doing to support yourselves?" Jason's face twisted. "Times are tough. Jobs are scarce." "Funny," I said, "because the only thing scarce in your life is effort." Emma gasped like I slapped her. Jason stepped forward like he wanted to look intimidating. But let's be honest. He looked like a medium-sized toddler throwing a tantrum. "Fine," he snapped. "If you won't give us the card, at least give us the new account number so we can switch the bills back." "Nope." Emma's voice cracked. "Mom, we can't pay everything without your pension." "I know," I said calmly. "That's why I'm going to handle my own bills." Jason blinked. "Your bills?" "My bills," I repeated. "Not your car payment, not your groceries, not your online shopping carts. Mine." Emma sank onto the couch, whispering, "I can't believe this! Mom, I thought you trusted us." I felt a sting in my chest. Not guilt, just disappointment. "Sweetheart," I said softly, "you don't steal from people you love." Jason muttered, "We didn't steal." "Then what would you call taking my card without permission?" Silence. Jason stared at the wall. Emma stared at her hands. I sighed, walked around the room, picking up random things they bought with my money. Worse taste than I remembered. "Mom," Emma whispered, "if you needed more control, you could have just told us." "I did," I said. "I told you last year, and the year before that, and the year before that. Every time I tried to set limits, you cried and said I was abandoning you." Emma flinched. Jason scoffed under his breath. "And now," I continued, "you're mad because your safety net got up and walked away." Jason snapped. "You're punishing us for being poor." "No," I said. "I'm punishing you for being entitled." Emma looked up, eyes big. "So what happens now?" "Now," I said, "you focus on your own income." Jason laughed sarcastically. "You seriously think we can just magically fix everything overnight?" I shrugged. "You magically emptied my account overnight, plenty of times. Seems like you have experience working fast." Emma gasped again. "Mom!" Jason clenched his jaw. "This is unbelievable. We're family." "Exactly why I didn't press charges," I said. Jason went dead silent. Emma froze. "Charges?" "Oh, honey," I said sweetly. "Taking someone's card, withdrawing their entire pension every month, pretending it's bill money, that's fraud. Maybe even theft. You're lucky I'm old and sentimental." Jason's Adam's apple bobbed like he was swallowing a boulder. Emma whispered, "Mom, you wouldn't." "I didn't," I assured. "But I won't keep letting you two treat me like a free ATM." Emma buried her face in her hands. Jason finally sat down, defeated. For a long moment, nobody talked. Then I said the words that cracked the whole situation open. I didn't just change my card and account. I changed my will. Emma's head snapped up. Jason's eyes widened. I continued calmly. "And if you keep treating me like this, I'm changing it again." Jason croaked. "You're threatening us?" "No," I said. "I'm informing you of the consequences of your behavior." Emma whispered, "Mom, what did you do?" "I protected myself," I said simply. Silence. Heavy silence. Then Jason stood up, his voice dark. "You better fix this. We're not going to sit back while you ruin everything." I smiled. Oh, sweetheart. I'm not ruining anything. I'm reclaiming it. That's when Jason stormed out of the house. Emma followed him, crying quietly, but I knew they'd be back. Because they still didn't know the biggest secret yet. The one that would completely flip their world upside down. Jason slammed the front door so hard behind him that the windows rattled. But honestly, I've heard louder thunder. Emma trailed after him, wiping her face like she was starring in some soap opera breakdown scene. The house went quiet, finally, but I knew that peace wasn't gonna last long. People like them don't just walk away. They regroup, plot, and come back swinging. I made myself a cup of tea, sat at the kitchen table, and waited. Because trust me, they always come back. And right on cue, not even 30 minutes later, I heard the car screech into the driveway. Heavy footsteps, angry muttering. The sound of two people hyping themselves up into stupidity. The door burst open again. Emma rushed in first, breathless. "Mom, we need to talk, right now." Jason stood behind her with the exact expression of a man who Googled, "Can you sue your own mother-in-law?" on the ride back. I took another sip of my tea. "Sure," I said. "Let's talk." Emma sat across from me. Jason didn't. He stood, arms crossed, trying to look tough. He failed, miserably. "Mom," Emma began softly, "we know things have been stressful, but you can't just make big decisions without us." I blinked. "Excuse me?" Jason jumped in. "She means we're a team, a family. Decisions about finances should involve everyone." I set my tea down carefully. "You mean my finances?" Jason flinched. Emma tried again. "Mom, we're not trying to fight, but you changed everything without warning. You blindsided us." "Oh," I said. "You mean the way you used my old card behind my back every month? That kind of blindside?" Silence. Jason finally exhaled. "Look, we know we messed up with the withdrawals, but honestly, we didn't think you'd notice." Emma shot him a panicked look like, "Why would you say that out loud?" I raised a brow. "Didn't think I'd notice? My pension vanished faster than my blood pressure meds. What made you think I wouldn't notice?" Jason huffed. "Because you didn't before." Emma nudged him. "Jason, shut up!" But the truth was already out, and I already knew it. They never thought of me as someone who could take control. They thought of me as old, slow, dependent, a walking wallet. "Mom," Emma said, her voice cracking a little, "we're drowning. Jason's job cut his hours again. The kids need stuff. We've been barely keeping up. And instead of communicating," I said, "you used me." Jason threw his hands in the air. "We did what we had to." "No," I corrected. "You did what was easiest." Emma lowered her head. Jason started pacing. "Fine. You changed the card. Cool. Whatever. But the account switch, the new PIN, the will, that's extreme." "Extreme," I said slowly, "is stealing from your own mother." Jason opened his mouth, probably to spit out another excuse, but I raised my hand. "I'm not done." He froze. I leaned forward slightly. "You asked what happens next, so here it is. I'm hiring someone new to handle my finances. A professional." Emma's eyes widened. "What? Why?" "Because I clearly can't trust you two." Jason let out a sharp laugh. So that's it? You're replacing us? I'm protecting myself, I replied. You two made your intentions very clear, and they weren't loving. Jason shook his head. This is insane. Emma reached for my hand. Mom, please don't do this. We'll change. We'll do better. We promise. Emma, I said softly. Tears filled her eyes. But guilt wasn't going to save her this time. I was done being manipulated. Jason wasn't finished, though. Not by a long shot. So what? He snapped. You're just cutting us off after everything we've done? Everything you've done? I repeated. What exactly have you done for me? He froze again, and stayed frozen, because he had no answer. Emma whispered, Mom, we take care of you. I tilted my head. Do you? Or do you take care of the parts that benefit you? Jason muttered, Come on, Emma. She wants to act like a victim. I stood up, slowly, steadily. I'm not a victim, I said. I'm someone who finally woke up. Jason rolled his eyes. So now what? You think you can just threaten us with this whole will thing? You think we care? I smiled, a small, calm, deadly smile. Oh, I know you care. That's why you're here. He opened his mouth, but no sound came out. Emma whispered, Mom, what did you do with the will? I looked at her gently. I adjusted it to match reality. Jason laughed nervously. Meaning what? Meaning the people who actually care for me will be the ones included. Their faces went ghost white. Jason grabbed his keys. Emma stood shakily. You'll regret this, Jason muttered. I shrugged. Maybe. But at least I'll regret it with my own money. They walked to the door slowly, angry, offended, scared. But right before stepping outside, Emma turned around. Mom, is that all? Is that the only change? I looked her straight in the eyes. No, I said. That was the small change. She inhaled sharply. Jason frowned. Then what was the big one? I smiled. You'll find out soon. And that was the moment they knew their little empire was about to collapse. They stood there, half in the doorway, half out, like two kids waiting to be told they weren't actually in trouble. But this wasn't some harmless prank. This was years of manipulation catching up to them in real time. Jason finally snapped. What do you mean you'll find out soon? I folded my arms. Calm, steady. The kind of calm that scares people more than yelling ever could. It means, I said, that I didn't just change my bank card. I changed everything. Emma's voice trembled. Mom, please, what did you do? You'll find out, I repeated. Now leave. I'm tired. Jason scoffed, turned around, and slammed the door so hard he almost broke the hinges. Emma followed him, wiping her face again. She cried so easily when she wasn't getting her way. When the door clicked shut, I exhaled and leaned against the wall. Oh, for the first time in years, I could breathe. But peace doesn't last long in a house that's used to chaos. Not 10 minutes later, my phone buzzed. It was a blocked number. Normally, I'd ignore it, but something in my chest told me to answer. Hello? I said. A man's voice replied, smooth and professional. Mrs. Eleanor? This is Detective Ramirez. We received an anonymous complaint this morning regarding your financial safety and potential exploitation. Are you available to talk? I froze. Detective? Anonymous complaint? I swallowed. Yes. Yes, I'm available. Good, he said. I'll stop by tomorrow morning. We just want to ensure you're safe. When I hung up, my hands were shaking. Who filed the complaint? Chloe? Brenda? The bank? Or someone else? I tried to calm myself down, but the timing was too perfect, too clean. And I had a sinking feeling I knew exactly who had done it. But I went to bed anyway, because tomorrow was going to be a long day. The next morning, 9:17 a.m., a firm knock echoed through the house. I opened the door. Detective Ramirez stood there, neatly dressed, brown leather folder under his arm, calm eyes studying me. Behind him, a police cruiser idled. "Good morning, Mrs. Eleanor." "Morning," I said, stepping aside. "Please come in." We sat at the dining table, the same one where Jason had stood puffing his chest like a rooster the day before. The detective pulled out a notepad. "Mrs. Eleanor," he began gently, "I received a report stating that someone might be taking advantage of you financially. I need to ask, do you feel unsafe?" A wave of emotion rose in my throat. "Not anymore," I said firmly. "But for a long time, yes." He nodded. "Are you willing to explain?" I told him. Everything. The withdrawals, the card use, the guilt tripping, the control, the way they drained my pension every single month while claiming it was family teamwork. Ramirez's expression didn't change much, but I saw the tightening of his jaw. When I finished, he sighed. "Mrs. Eleanor, what they did could qualify as elder financial abuse under state law. You have grounds for charges if you want to press them." I froze. Charges? My own daughter? I pressed my hands together. I don't know. "You don't have to decide today," he said gently. "But I will tell you this. Someone filed this complaint because they care about you." He stood up. "If anything changes, call me." I walked him to the door, thanked him, and watched him leave. My heart was pounding. But when I turned around, Brenda was standing in my hallway. "Brenda!" I gasped. "What? How did you get in?" She held up the spare key I'd given her years ago. "You were with the detective," she said sheepishly. "I let myself in." I laughed shakily. "You scared me half to death." Brenda walked over and hugged me tight. "I filed the complaint," she whispered. "I'm so sorry if that upset you. I've been worried sick. I didn't know how else to help." My breath caught. Of course it was her, my oldest friend, my sister in everything but blood. I hugged her back. "Thank you," I whispered. "You did the right thing." But then, the front door burst open again. Emma stormed in, hair messy, face red. "What did you tell the police?" Brenda stepped forward instantly, shoulders squared like a guard dog. "You need to leave." Emma ignored her. She marched right up to me. "Mom, the police came to our house this morning," she screamed. "Do you have any idea what that looks like? Jason is freaking out. Our neighbors are talking." Her voice cracked. "They said there was an investigation." "Did you do this to punish me?" Brenda shot back. "You punished yourself by stealing from her." Emma spun around, yelling, "Stay out of this, you old cow." Brenda stepped closer. "Say that again." But I lifted my hand. "Stop." Emma turned to me, tears spilling. "Mom, please, you're ruining our lives." I looked into her eyes, really looked, and for the first time in a long time, I didn't see my little girl. I saw a woman who had grown comfortable living off me. I spoke quietly. I didn't ruin your life, Emma. I just stopped letting you ruin mine. She froze. Her mouth opened. But nothing came out. Brenda took my arm protectively. Emma backed away slowly, shaking her head in disbelief. "You'll regret this," she whispered. "No," I said softly. "I finally won't." She turned and left. For the last time. I exhaled, shaky, relieved, terrified, all at once. Brenda hugged me again. "You did it," she whispered. "You really did it." And for the first time in years, I believed her. For a long moment after Emma stormed out, the house was silent. Not peaceful, not calm, but heavy. Like the air had thickened and every sound was swallowed before it could exist. Brenda squeezed my shoulder. "You okay?" I nodded, even though my chest felt tight. "I don't know," I whispered. "I feel free, but also scared." "That's normal," she said softly. "You finally stood up for yourself. It shakes the ground a bit." I managed a weak smile. If the ground could stop shaking before dinner, I'd appreciate it. She laughed, and the tension in the room eased just a little. A few hours later, Brenda insisted on staying with me for the day. "Emotional support got a dog," she joked. We cleaned a bit, made coffee, tried to talk about normal things. The weather, her grandkids, the neighbor down the street who kept stealing people's delivered packages by accident. But beneath all that, something lingered in the air. Like we were waiting for the next storm. It arrived at 4:12 p.m. My doorbell rang. Brenda froze mid-sip. "You expecting someone?" "No." I walked to the door, heart thudding. When I opened it, a tall man in a crisp gray uniform stood there. A courier. "Package delivery for Mrs. Eleanor Hayes," he said. I blinked. I didn't order anything. No signature required. Just dropping it off. He handed me a sealed envelope-sized box and walked away. I closed the door, confused. Brenda leaned in. "Well, open it." I carefully peeled the tape. Inside was a bank statement, a USB drive, and a sticky note. My hands trembled as I unfolded the note. It said, "You need to see this before it's too late." No name, no handwriting I recognized, no instructions. Brenda frowned. This looked sketchy. But my gut told me it wasn't. I plugged the USB into my laptop. A single video file popped up. ATM camera footage, March 16th, 11:27 p.m. I clicked it. The screen showed an ATM feed from a dimly lit corner store. At first, I didn't understand. Then the person stepped into frame. Jason, my son-in-law, looking around nervously. He inserted my old bank card, the one I'd replaced. He typed, withdrew cash, pocketed it, then took another card out of his wallet, Emma's. He inserted hers next, and took money from that one too. Not from her main account, but from a savings account, a secret one. Brenda gasped. Is he stealing from both of you? I could barely breathe. The footage ended. Another file opened automatically, a PDF bank document. The savings account number. Thousands gone, withdrawn over months. Brenda covered her mouth. Oh my God, your daughter doesn't even know he's draining her too. A wave of emotions hit me so fast, it made my head spin. Betrayal, shock, anger, fear, pity. I sat back staring at the screen. Who sent this? I whispered. Before Brenda could answer, my phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. Now you understand. Protect yourself. I felt dizzy. Brenda grabbed my hands. Listen to me. This isn't your fault. None of it. But I wasn't thinking about guilt. I was thinking about the detective, about the investigation, and about what would happen when Emma found out she wasn't the only victim in her house. That night, 9:01 p.m., the sky was dark. The house was quiet. Brenda had dozed off on the couch, arms crossed, legs tucked under a blanket. I sat in my recliner, staring at the USB on the coffee table. Should I show the detective? Should I tell Emma? Should I confront Jason? Every option felt like it would explode my life in a different way. Then, bam, bam, bam! A violent knock shook the front door. Brenda jolted awake. What in the... The knocking came again. Louder, desperate. Mom, open the door! Emma, my stomach dropped. Brenda stood, ready to defend me, but I shook my head. No, let me. I opened the door just a crack. Emma stumbled inside, tears streaming, hair wild, clutching her phone. Mom, she sobbed. Why didn't you tell me? My heart dropped. Tell you what? She shoved the phone toward me. On the screen was the same ATM footage I'd watched earlier. Someone had sent it to her too. Her voice cracked. I thought you hated me. I thought you were punishing us. But Jason, he's been stealing from me? My savings? My emergency money? He told me we were broke because of you. She sank to her knees, shaking uncontrollably. Brenda rubbed her back. Emma kept crying, words falling out between gasps. I defended him. I yelled at you. I screamed at you. And he was lying the whole time. I knelt in front of her, and for the first time in a long while, I saw my daughter again. Not the selfish, controlling version shaped by years of Jason's influence, but the girl I raised, broken, devastated, and finally seeing the truth. I took her hands. Emma, listen to me. What he did to you is not your fault. What he did to me is not your fault. But now that you know... She looked up through red eyes. You have a choice. She swallowed hard. What do I do? I exhaled deeply. Tomorrow, I said, we go to the detective. Together. Emma nodded slowly, tears still falling. But her next morning felt unreal, like I was walking through someone else's life. The house was wrapped in that eerie, early morning silence where even the walls seemed to hold their breath. Emma had barely slept. She sat at my kitchen table with puffy eyes, clutching a mug of tea like it was the only thing keeping her from falling apart. Brenda had stayed the night, refusing to leave me alone with all this mess swirling around. She hovered protectively in the kitchen, slicing fruit like she was preparing for war and breakfast at the same time. I poured myself some coffee and finally sat across from Emma. She couldn't look at me at first. Guilt clung to her like a heavy coat. Mom, she whispered, voice cracking. I can't believe he lied to me for so long. I reached across and touched her hand. You loved him. You trusted him. There's nothing wrong with that. The wrong part is what he did with that trust. Her jaw trembled. Brenda chimed in, always the blunt friend. Sweetheart, men like Jason don't break your heart once. They do it in tiny pieces every day until you don't notice you're bleeding anymore. Emma's eyes filled again, but she nodded. 9:45 a.m. At the police station, the detective greeted us with that same unreadable expression he'd worn days earlier. But this time, when he saw Emma standing beside me with swollen eyes, something in his face softened. You must be Emma, he said gently. She nodded. We have some evidence, I said, holding out the USB. He took it, plugged it into his computer, and the files popped up. ATM footage, bank withdrawals, account numbers, timestamps. The detective leaned forward, eyebrows inching up as he watched Jason's nervous, guilty posture on camera. Then he exhaled sharply. This is stronger than anything we've pulled so far. Emma's voice shook. He took money from my savings. I didn't even know that account was being touched. The detective nodded. Your husband may be involved in more than financial manipulation. This pattern suggests long-term fraud. Emma flinched at the word husband. Then the detective turned to me. Do you know who would have sent this? A friend? A relative? I shook my head. No idea. The package arrived with no signature. He tapped his pen against the desk, thinking hard. Well, whoever it is, they want you protected. Emma grabbed my arm. What happens now? He leaned back. Now, we build the case. And Jason is about to have a very, very bad day. When we walked outside, the sun was bright and warm, completely out of sync with the storm brewing in our lives. Emma broke the silence. Mom, I should have believed you earlier. Her voice was so small, so fragile, that it tugged at every maternal instinct in me. I hugged her gently. You believe me now. That's enough. But I yelled at you, she whispered against my shoulder. I accused you of things. I took his side over and over. Emma, I said softly, pulling back to look at her. That's what manipulation does. It changes your reality until you can't tell up from down. She wiped her cheeks, silently absorbing the truth. Brenda, who had been quietly observing, stepped forward. And now you get to break free. You get to rebuild. That's what today is about. Emma nodded, a little steadier now. ... I made soup. Emma curled up on the couch with a blanket. Brenda paced around like a security guard who took her job very seriously. Everything felt calmer. Until a loud engine revved outside. Brenda's head snapped toward the window. Ladies, we've got company. Emma sat up fast. No, please tell me that's not. But it was Jason's car, pulling right into my driveway. Emma's entire body stiffened. Fear and fury twisted her expression. Brenda crossed her arms. Oh, this idiot picked the worst day of his life. I walked to the door as Jason practically launched himself out of the car. He was a mess. Wild hair, wrinkled shirt, eyes bloodshot like he hadn't slept, or had been crying, or screaming. Probably both. He stomped toward the house. Eleanor, open the door right now! I didn't. I unlocked it slowly and stepped outside, closing it behind me so he couldn't push his way in. What do you want, Jason? He jabbed a finger at me. You changed your card. You changed your bank. And now you turned Emma against me. I raised an eyebrow. I didn't need to. You did that on your own. His face twisted. Where's my wife? Not your concern at the moment. Oh, it damn well is. She left the house. She won't answer my calls. He stopped, breathing hard. Then his eyes narrowed dangerously. You showed her something. I know you did. I crossed my arms calmly. I didn't show her anything. Liar! I didn't, I said firmly. She saw what you did. For a split second he froze. Just one. Then all the color drained from his face. He knew exactly what you did meant. His voice came out low. Eleanor, you don't know what you started. I met his glare head on. No, Jason, I know exactly what I've stopped. He stepped closer. Too close. Brenda threw open the door behind me. Back up, swamp rat! Jason flinched. Brenda has that effect. He backed toward his car, but kept his eyes locked on me. This isn't over, he hissed. I gave him a cold, steady stare. Yes, it is. He got in his car, sped off, tires screeching, loud enough to wake every pigeon in the neighborhood. When I turned back, Emma was standing in the doorway behind Brenda. And for the first time, she didn't look scared. She looked ready. Mom, she said quietly, I want to finish this. I nodded. Then we will. Together.